Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar, and before we start today's show, I wanted to talk to all the guitar players out there about something really interesting. If you're a guitar player, or probably any other kind of musician, or if you know a musician who's looking to make some more money without having to tour or go on the road, or put up with any of the other BS that musicians normally have to deal with, then what I'm about to tell you is probably the most exciting and important message you'll ever hear. As a business guy who just happens to play guitar, one of the first things I realized after interviewing, say, the first 50 or so guitar players was that if I was going to get into this business today, the first thing I'd look at doing is learning how to license your music. And by licensing music, I mean getting your music inserted into movies, television shows, and commercials. And here's why. There are 4 reasons, actually. First of all, focusing on record deals, publishing, and touring means that you're putting your destiny in someone else's hands. You're at the whim of someone who has literally thousands of other people competing for their attention, many of whom, frankly, may have music with more commercial appeal than your music has, which means you get what's ever left over as far as attention from that particular manager, publisher, publicist, or booking agent, right? And I don't know how you feel, but for me, I'm totally uncomfortable leaving my destiny and my family's financial future up to someone else. Second, I've learned in business that if you work in areas that are less competitive and not as crowded, your likelihood of success goes up dramatically. And there are way less people competing to have their music licensed than there are trying to make records, get their songs published, and go on tour. In fact, there are so many people competing to play music, the average working musician today, by and large, earns the same or less money than they were making back in the 1970s and 1980s. Third, in the licensing business, it's not unusual to have one or more of your songs wind up paying you multiple times over and over again. In some cases, day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. In fact, some songs you even get paid on multiple times over from a variety of sources because different people wind up licensing that same song from you. Many times you get paid for songs you recorded months or even years ago. So no work you do is ever wasted. Even if a particular song doesn't get picked up right now, there's a very good chance it can get picked up later. And the more music you write, the more opportunities you get for placements. The more placements, the more money you make, both up front as income from licensing fees and on the backside in terms of royalties for years to come. And the fourth reason I like this industry is that a free ebook has just been published, which pretty much takes you by the hand and shows you step by step how to get your music licensed. The book is less than 20 pages long, and it was written by Mike Elsner, who I interviewed in episode number 167 of this show. Mike's been doing this for over 14 years, and he's actually had over 2,000 songs licensed at this point in time. Now, I want you to pay attention to something because that means he's getting paid to license almost 150 songs per year. Now, keep in mind, most successful career musicians don't even get paid for 150 songs in total over a 30 or 40-year career, yet Mike's getting paid for this on an annual basis. And in this free ebook, you'll discover the 4 simple steps to licensing success, including step 1, which actually shows you how to get paid a significant upfront licensing fee as well as quarterly royalties. You'll learn how to get paid for learning how to play a new instrument. And I'm not kidding. He actually shows you an example of he basically practiced a new instrument and he licensed all the songs, and he walks you through this. In step 2, you'll learn how to quickly expand your song catalog by 5 to 6 times its current size without having to create literally anything new. That's right, you'll learn how to easily turn 10 songs into 50 to 60 songs in less than 5 minutes each, and each one of those new songs now becomes another new asset you can sell. You'll learn what to do, and maybe even more important, what not to do to get your music quickly noticed by music supervisors. And this one simple nugget alone easily makes the difference between regularly getting your music licensed and never getting it licensed at all. He'll show you 4 ways to get paid to license your music, and then you get to pick and choose which one of those 4 ways works best for you. And you'll also get to uncover little-known secrets to using common websites online to get free names of people who would want to license your music. And the other cool thing I like about this business is that you can run it all from your home studio. No ivory tower record label executives telling you what to play and how to play it, and no shady managers or backroom publishers with their own agenda telling you what to do. So download Mike's free ebook on music licensing right now. Just go to everyonelovesguitar.com/Mike. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/Mike, M-I-K-E. That's it, real simple. Let me know how you like the book, and now let's get on with the show. Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar. I've got a really freaking cool guest with me today. I'm with Brad Warren. Brad and Brett are the Warren brothers, and Brad's just a really cool guy. I've been looking forward to talking with him, and we initially set this up a while ago. Let me tell you about the Warren brothers if you haven't heard of them. They're an American songwriting duo. They've written hits for Tim McGraw, Toby Keith, Keith Urban, Faith Hill, Martina McBride, Dierks Bentley, Jared Newman, and more. They've had songs recorded by Little Big Town, Lady Antebellum, Thomas Rhett, Cole Swindell, Gary Allen, Tyler Farr, Billy Currington, and many other A-list country artists. They've also written songs for rock bands, including Lynyrd Skynyrd, Nickelback, Hinder, Joss Stone, and Boys Like Girls. Brad and Brett started as recording artists in their hometown of Tampa, Florida, which is where I live and I broadcast out of. They moved to Nashville in 95, and in 97, they signed a record deal with RCA Records. They made 4 albums, and during that time, they toured extensively as an opening act for Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, amongst other people. And although they never had a major hit as artists, Tim McGraw did take an interest in their songwriting, and over the years since, McGraw has recorded, I think it's 25 of your songs?
Yeah.
25 of the songs. Awesome. They were both celebrity judges on the second season of Nashville Star. In 2005 and 2006, they had their own reality series on CMT called Barely Famous, The Warren Brothers. And their sense of humor has landed them as part-time radio personalities, and they've even had a few film cameos. They were CMA nominees for Duo of the Year 6 straight years. They have a Grammy nomination for Song of the Year called If You're Reading This. And a CMA Song of the Year nod for Anyway. And Brad's got really cool hair. So
I you're immediately kind of impressed.
Everybody wants to know, what's Brad's hair like? Well, it's a lot cooler than mine, I will tell you that. Man, thanks so much for coming on the show. I've been looking forward to talking with you.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
You're from Tampa. Where'd you live when you were here?
So I grew up in Town and Country.
Okay.
Kind of close to the airport, a little Mexican ghetto over close to the airport, and
the best.
And then as not that there's anything wrong with either of those things.
Absolutely
but my mom
not.
still lives. My mother still lives in the house we grew up in, and it is really it's an interesting little neighborhood. We as like I would say college students, but taking 2 classes at junior college doesn't really count. But as like young 20s guys, we moved everywhere because, you'd 6 months in an apartment and you had another buddy with a nicer place. So we lived in Palm Harbor, Clearwater, Port Tampa, St. Petersburg, anywhere you can imagine. Indian Rocks Beach, we lived every little crevice of Hillsborough and Pinellas County you can imagine, I think, over the years. So. And
you guys always lived together?
We always lived together until we it's funny because, we're in our late 40s now, and somebody asked the other day, so do you guys live together? I'm like, no, not anymore, but we really did live together a long time.
I actually say that in admiration, not really to bust your balls. I think that's really cool that you have a relationship that is so close like that, because that's I never had that with my brother. I had one brother who was born handicapped, so I couldn't have it, and my other one was just too much issues. So I really, I'm happy for you guys that you have that. I think that's a really cool, really special thing.
It is kind of crazy as now we're starting to get to the age where you look back a little bit, and obviously we feel like we have more career ahead of us than behind us. But as you look back a little bit, we're one of the few. Like, we only write together. So for 20 years, and we've had, we say I have it in the 200s, over 200 cuts on people's records. We have never written a song without each other. That's so odd looking back at it, but we never really thought about it that much in the process. We've always written together.
Not really. I mean,
kind of strange, isn't it?
No, because, like, look how much success you've had 8 number 1 hits. That's more than 8 separate guys might have in, 10 or 20, 40-year career. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, what's the reason? If it's not, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, sort of.
Totally. I think that like I said when we were talking before we started the show, when you're surprised with your success early, you're afraid to break whatever it is that's working. Therefore, it may take you a little longer to get to the next step than it should. But there's definitely something about when we were like, oh, we've had a hit together, we should keep doing this. I think it started under the guise of we were writing for our band and we were competing with our songs, and we just decided, let's just write everything together, and that way we won't be competing. We'll just record the best songs. And literally 25 years ago.
That's
and we
awesome.
still haven't written a song without each other.
Oh, I think that's totally cool, man. No, I don't think anything of that at all. I mean, you're writing part. If you weren't brothers, you wouldn't. Okay, like if you weren't brothers, somebody would look at you and say, "Oh, why don't you guys write with other people?" Right?
Right.
Nobody would even think of that. So why should they that you're brothers? No, I think that's totally cool, man. I think that's awesome, and I think that's good for you guys, man. Everybody should have that.
It's a good way to not fall in the cracks too, I think.
Well, plus, let's face it. Who's going to look out for each of you better than each of you?
Totally. And every crappy gig we ever did, the other guy was there.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
It makes it tolerable.
No, I think that's wonderful, honestly, man. So talk about, how did you get into music in the first place, and how did you start writing songs?
We had parents. Okay, so my brother Brett and I, obviously, and then we had two older sisters. And my parents, we grew up like a Baptist church, Oldsmar Baptist Church, little church in Oldsmar. It's still there. And my parents both played musical instruments, and my sisters both played. And it was just one of those things when you turned, I can't remember, like 7 or 8 years old, you had to start playing an instrument in our house.
Gotcha.
So I learned how to play the trumpet, and I remember I was in 4th grade, and I was playing trumpet in like the junior high band at school, and I didn't really think much about it. But anyway, girls don't really care much about the trumpet, so
no.
As soon as I heard Sweet Home Alabama on the radio and heard an electric guitar through an amp, I was like, that's what I want to do. So I was like 11 years old, and my dad taught me how to play like 3 chords on the guitar. Actually, I think my mom showed me my first couple chords, and she wasn't really good, so I was better than her in about a week. And so I started learning how to play guitar, and I immediately started writing songs because I wanted to be a rock star, and I assumed that in order to have songs on the radio, you had to write your own songs. And that was the beginning. It's funny, my brother was not really into music, but he was really talented, so I would like beg him to be in my band, and he would play drums and sing. 2 things we couldn't find anyone else to do.
Right.
And we eventually started writing together, but I started when I was like really young, like 11, 12, 13 years old. I still remember some of the songs, but I just thought you had to do that to become a rock star. So it was just part of the process. I had no idea that was like a day job.
That's amazing that you've just gravitated to writing right away.
Right away.
Yeah. I mean, great. I mean, it worked. It all worked, but that's very unusual.
It is. And you know what's funny? When we moved to Nashville and we were recording artists, I really had a thing about being like what I called at the time a staff writer. You know, I don't want to be one of those guys that shows up at 10 and has a writing session scheduled. I just want to be an artist about it. And I want to do it when the moment hits me and whatever. And that's cool when you're young, but as you get older, a craft requires work, and work requires a schedule. And so I'm glad I got rid of that motif, but I really was against being the staff songwriter. I want to be an artist or a guitar player in somebody's band, but I didn't want to be a songwriter. And then, at some point we got about 13 years ago, we wrote a hit for Faith Hill, and I got a check, and that changed my attitude dramatically.
Funny how that works, isn't it?
It's major change right then.
And then you're like, so what is your schedule now like that you try to keep to as far as writing?
So we write 3 or 4 days a week. We have a publisher that does our calendar for us, and they put us with other writers and put us with artists. Occasionally, like a few times a year, we go on the road with a band, and like Florida Georgia Line, we share a publisher, so we'll go out with them once or twice a year. And there's a few other acts we go out with, and we'll write with them on the road, but not that often. And then you spend a day a week recording, and it's not like a 9 to 5 schedule, but it is a schedule that we kind of like. I know what I'm doing if we don't need to cancel for some reason for the next 2 months. I can look at the calendar and go, okay, 2 weeks from Thursday, I'm with Eric Pasley or whatever, whoever it might be. And they try to hook you up with people that you work well with, that you've had hits with, and then new artists and older artists and whatever. So it's kind of it really varies.
It sounds kind of cool though, because like it doesn't sound like I would hate doing the same thing every day. And what I call the same thing is like same people, same room, and it doesn't sound like you're doing anything like that, which is awesome.
Totally. We have an office, and about less than half the time we are in our office, but it's always with someone else. We co-write with a different writer every day. We have set aside like a day a month to write with just the two of us, which we a lot of times, to be honest, you get on in life, whatever, and you're like, hey, man, let's go to the movies.
That's great.
We do find time to do that, and it is great. It's the greatest job in the world because you get to be creative, and if you're really not feeling it, it's scary to me to think of how fortunate we've been and how well we've done. And it took 20 days. If you took probably 20 songs have made 80%, 90% of the money that we've ever made from songwriting. And if you took those 20 days away, what would there be? If you're not feeling it, sometimes we just go, man, this isn't happening. Let's just call it a day. And we don't sit there and pound it when we know the horse is dead.
Yeah.
And that's so that has made it is really fun right now. It's not that there's any sort of formula that we got it because there's guys with tons more hits than we do, but we kind of know what we do and we know who we are and who we work well with, and it's fun. We most of the time we're having, and then there are days that's mental ditch digging that are really tough, but most of the time it's a blast.
Yeah. And when you say you're recording one day a week, you're doing demos for the most part?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Demos. I mean, occasionally we play or sing on a record that somebody's like, if they've written a song with us, they'll ask us to come in and sing on it or play on it. But it's kind of rare, and we don't care anymore. I used to want my guitar playing on records, and now I don't care. And you might hear something on the radio from something that we wrote that's a guitar lick that I played on the work tape that somebody else played on the demo that the next guy played on the record when it came. Mm-hmm. That's as much that makes me as happy as anything that I maybe wrote a little guitar part that survived 3 producers and 3 different players and actually made it to the radio. And that's about as much as I worry about that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you get your job satisfaction and your sense of accomplishment out of writing. And that's
totally.
That's what okay. That makes sense. What you mentioned your mom and dad, what kind of work did they do? What kind of jobs do they have?
So my dad was an air traffic controller.
Holy crap. That's a great That's a very pressure job.
Stressful job. He was a great guy, but he died young at 60 in 01. And he loved his job. And in hindsight, maybe it was a little more stressful than we thought. And then my mom is a school teacher at Oldsmar Christian School to this day. She's been there for, holy cow, 35 years. And wow. She's never taken a paycheck. She teaches for free and uses what would be her salary to send other kids to school or whatever. So she's kind of Mother Teresa almost.
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
She's a real saint, but she's very opinionated about religion too. So that kind of makes up for her being a saint.
I hear you.
Perfect. You have a
I'm a saint, and I'm going to let you know why.
A little bit. Love you, Mom. But yeah.
Whether you want to hear it or not.
Absolutely. That's what moms are for.
I hear you, man. So, okay, so when did you move to Nashville? At what point in time, career-wise and year-wise?
So we moved in 1995. It's funny because Brett and I were a rock band. We played around Tampa and all those. I don't know if you were around with Killian's and the Rocket Club, but this is I'm dating both of us, but it was way back in the day. And there was kind of a cool original band scene around Tampa, and that's what we all got this vibe that if you signed a record deal, that was it, that you were just rich and famous, and a few bands would get signed, and then 6 months later you'd see them playing back in the back corner of Gasoline Alley or some restaurant that you were eating, and realizing that it wasn't really a great place to launch an actual music career from. So it seemed like the same day it happened to both of us. But Brett and I he's got a story about he heard "I Can't Make You Love Me" from Bonnie Raitt on the radio, and pulled off the road and was like, okay, I'm going wherever that song was written because that's what I need to do. And somewhere in that same couple days or the same week for sure, I was like, dude, we've got to get out of here. We are moving. And we had visited Nashville a few times. But it's funny because in hindsight, it's clear now, but we didn't really know we were going to be songwriters, but we knew we wanted to go where the song was king. And so we moved in August of 1995 to Nashville we had about $500 a piece. We shared a car and we rented a 1-bedroom apartment. And every 10 days, we would drive back to Tampa and play 10 days straight in Ybor City and every crappy bar we could find so that we didn't have to get day jobs. And we'd stay with our mom or friends or whatever. And then we would drive back to Nashville and stay for as long as we could till we started to run out of money again.
Wow, that's a really cool story.
I mean, like 700 miles, I guess. It was long.
It's 10 and a half hours. It's a long trip.
A good 10 and a half hours. That's when you're not pulling off the side of the road just to fall asleep for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
With maybe with a few beers in you from the club gig, that we would leave straight from a club gig, either in Nashville or Tampa, and just head on the interstate for an 11-hour trip. It's crazy.
So let me ask you this. While you were doing that, that's some pretty major motivation and commitment, if you look back and think of it, right? I mean,
yeah.
Right? I mean, it's what was, and it's probably not even something you ever addressed. It was probably just there, or maybe it was, but I was curious what was behind that, because I really respect that.
It's funny because I have looked back and gone, man, could I do that now? Could my kids do that? But I really think if you want something bad enough, like what you really want to do is something you'll sacrifice for.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just willing. There was no limit to what we would do. I don't even know what exactly the point was, but it was to be something in music, to make your mark, to not have a day job was really important to us. Honestly, it's now that I'm beyond it, it probably would have been easier to go Valley Park or something than drive back and forth to Tampa. But we did not want to get jobs and get sidetracked with that. So we had a Toyota Corolla that was actually Brett's, and we drove that thing back and forth for like over a year, every month. That's kind of hard to see where the digging came from. I can't even imagine doing it now. But yeah, we really wanted it bad right then, and I don't even know what it was.
Right, that's what I was curious about. Like, because you really had no defined it. It was just like, it was almost like something, told you got to be there.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted a record deal. We wanted to make records. We wanted to shove it up everybody's butt that told us we couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's all those motivations. By the way, those motivations of people that tell you you can't do something, or those are so valuable.
Yeah.
So valuable, because that's the fuel that feeds the oh my God, I'm 9 hours into this, my 6th trip to Tampa this year. What are we doing? It just, I don't know. It was to be, I don't know. We were young and drunk and whatever, but you wanted to be famous, but you wanted to be the real thing. You wanted to make a mark. You wanted to write a song that changed someone's life. There were those shallow get the girl motives, and then there were also, I want to do something that changes somebody's life motives. So they all kind of, intersected, and I guess whatever created enough energy for us to want to do that. But I can't imagine doing it now. It wasn't easy.
I always say righteous indignation has helped me, has really given me a lot of gifts, telling someone, fuck you, even if it's not outwardly, but, inside of you, or I'll show you, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
showing them fuck you.
Right, showing them fuck you, yeah.
So valuable, and I don't tend to be a patient guy. And it's funny, now, later on down the road, I don't have the people that I was trying to show, they didn't have anything against me. They maybe had made a remark, or well, it wasn't somebody that lost sleep over me, but my mom or a family member, like, so when are you going to give up on this? I'm like, what are you talking about? Give up on this? You're crazy. And that whatever that animus is, combined with the idea that you just want to do something, combined with the age and brain power of an ant, that just doesn't realize how stupid it was to drive that Toyota Corolla back and forth to Tampa. Yeah, I'm grateful for it now.
Oh, hell yeah. And that's where I think, especially having each other.
Yes.
Because that burden was shared 50% equally.
And the co-driving, too.
Right. Just everything. It was like the whole responsibility of it. And I think that was pretty valuable. I would love, I would think anybody would want to have that shared, man, you got a team instead of doing solo.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, you know what's funny in the victories because they're so hard to find. But in the music business, when you have a hit song, and when that song goes to number one on the chart, it is such the song and dance, pardon the pun, that the song has to do to get recorded, get to be released as a single, and then get run up the charts is baffling. How incredible that journey is for that particular song. Once you get there, if you didn't have anyone to celebrate it with, it just wouldn't be the same thing. But the other writers and your producers and your publishers that kind of took the journey with you, it's that camaraderie and teamwork really does make it all the better. So even with our little tiny victories and our many big defeats when we were younger, we did have each other, and that was pretty priceless.
Well, also, I think the average person doesn't really understand how statistically almost impossible it is for that to happen in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, how many, it's like literally it's almost impossible. And yet to have this happen in your case, like 8 times, that's freaking major, man. That's really, that says a lot about what you guys do, to be honest with you. And I'm not like blowing smoke up your ass, but I mean, it's just amazing in the picture of life.
No, it is amazing. And I'll tell you this, you get more competitive and get older. And now we've had a pretty decent number of hits that didn't go number one. But now as you taste that number one thing, you get I enjoy the win. Like I like the win. So it's business and it's publishing and it's which song is going to get up the chart. And sometimes you have to back off and go, okay, today we're going to write a great song and we're not going to think about the end game where it is. But a lot of days you go in and you kind of write towards the win, and you kind of feel like a little something that maybe the average Joe new songwriter doesn't know, and you kind of go for the win, and it's a new kind of gratification I never would have thought was going to be part of my career.
Well, I'm happy you got it, man. It was hard earned. Speaking of hard earned, you've been sober for a while now, and I know talking hard earned, right? That wasn't intended. That wasn't intentional. But I know from talking to you initially that life's a lot different today, obviously, than from how it used to be. And I wanted to ask you some questions if you're comfortable talking about it.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
what was your drug of choice? I guess initially.
You name it. Alcohol plus anything that would continue the drinking without making me go to sleep.
I hear you.
So. Really and truly, just about anything you could crush up or whatever, and it was alcohol. I'm certainly an alcoholic, so that was certainly the beginning of whatever, and then the other things that came into play were just kind of friends of the booze.
Right. When did you realize that? Oh shit! This is not like a habit. This is a problem.
I would say probably about 5 years before it ended. And it was like flashes of, oh, this is a problem. Not like, oh, God, this is a problem. I was just going, God, this might be becoming a problem. And then, party for 2 or 3 weeks. And then, you know what, this might be a problem. And so it's kind of hard. It's gradual. And before you know it, there are things going on that you would have never imagined being on part of your life. So when it really, really kicked, like at the very end, I mean, it was kind of like, wow, how is it you got this far without adjusting?
It's interesting. I've talked to a lot of guys who've gotten sober, and I've had a lot of good friends who've gotten sober, and like the relationship with, the drug of choice or whatever that is, it's no different than like breaking up any other relationship. You don't, if you have a girlfriend or whatever that it's not happening, generally the first day you realize that you don't break up.
Right.
Right. It's like
especially with beautiful,
and it's no different, I think, with substances, man, because it's like, you figure out how to manage the relationship and
totally. We're only going to see each other on weekends. Right. That kind of thing.
That's great. That's
We're going to have a glass of water between every kiss.
Yeah.
Like whatever it might be that's going to make this all better. Oh, sure.
Right. You can see other people even, that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's funny. I've been sober a long time. My wife and kids are completely aware of the whole thing, so we can go on. We tried every little, like, we're going to take pain pills and drink non-alcoholic beer. That was literally one of the stages we went through. Anything to stay messed up, but not really have to get, but say I'm not drinking. So, we tried just smoking weed and just doing pain pills. And then we're only going to drink, and we're going to just drink beer. And then we're only going to drink liquor. And then we're only going to do it once a week. And
yeah, man. You try to renegotiate that relationship 6 ways to Sunday, and it still didn't work out. Right.
It's kind of out of options by the end.
Yeah. Wow, man.
I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm sure, man. Did you go to like rehab, or did you do work a program, or both, or?
Both. I did. I went to rehab, like an outpatient, and Brett did not, and we kind of came at it from different angles, and both of us are still sober. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. I am active in recovery, and when I said I'm grateful for it too, I'm not just grateful for the recovery. I'm grateful for the problem, because I needed the problem to fix some other things within me. And since we're here today talking about my career, it's not all about that, but we had no success actually before we got sober. We had signed a record deal. We were on tour. We were opening for people. Well, he had never actually made money. We had never actually had a hit record. We had never actually done something that was going to be around longer than we were. Never. It's almost like the month we got sober, we had our first hit. It wasn't a number one, but it was a top 5 song. It got cut, and we kind of got to watch it run up, and everything we thought was never going to happen again, like we were never going to write a great song if we weren't using, because that was the inspiration for any good music. We were better at everything sober, and started realizing that maybe my instincts for everything are like this, and for being a husband, being a father, being a friend, whatever. And I was a pretty bad guy at the end, to be totally honest. And we had a little spats with the law, and that was stuff we thought was rock and roll cute, but it really wasn't. And it just I'm actually grateful for the problem, because it made me a different person than I would have been if it had never been there.
Yeah. Which
would be kind of a dry asshole. Just not drinking doesn't always do the trick. So I get a lot more out of having been a drunk than just not drinking anymore. So I'm pretty grateful for that.
Man, I'm really happy for you, and I really respect everything you just said, and thank you for sharing that, man. That was really cool of you.
Thank you.
And I tell you I give you credit, because you get sober and all of a sudden you get a number one hit. If you talk about, I wasn't in your body, obviously, but I would imagine the guy on this shoulder was like holding up a freaking bottle of, Johnny Walker Blue to you at that point, man. It would have been right. I mean, that would have been that was probably really tough.
It's funny if there's 2 ways to look at sobriety: as a chore or a gift. But sure, there are moments early, not really not anymore, because I understand the idea that none of these good things would be there.
Mm-hmm.
But early on, early successes, you're kind of like, man, now I kind of got what I wanted, and I got a swimming pool, and there's no naked girls laying around the outside of it. It's not an early success, but I mean, those are fleeting things, and obviously now I'm so grateful, and God would never have put any success in front of me unless He wanted me to die really, really young, because I would have been. So yeah, those things are, for a moment, fleeting, but that thought process kind of went away pretty fast.
Man, well, I really give you credit for that, man. Thank you, Brad. Thanks.
Greg.
As far as careers, I think everybody in whatever career you're doing makes some mistakes, pays tuition. And I was curious if you might be kind enough to share 1 or 2 mistakes that you might have made along the way and the lessons that you learned from them.
Oh, yeah. 1 or 2?
I know, that's what
hard to narrow it down.
I have a whole show.
Yeah, absolutely. If I could write a book, what not to do. and God's been gracious enough to give me second and third opportunities. But biggest one for me is the idea that once you get, like, if you're living somewhere that's not New York, LA, or Nashville, and you feel like once you get there and get recognized in that town and someone gives you a recording contract and you get your face on TV, that's the pinnacle. If that's really what you think it is, then it's probably not going to happen, because it's a process and you're always striving. Life is best when you're in pursuit. And my goals were too definitive. Once I got to the wall, I didn't realize that it was an invisible wall and there was another one out there I needed to go to. So one of the biggest mistakes is when we got signed, huge, oh man, I'm done. It's your job to make me famous. When we got publishing deals, oh God, it's your job to get me hits. And I've had to learn, the hard way, but luckily we were raised with a good work ethic, and it is up to you, and you're in pursuit all the time. Mm-hmm. There's nobody that's doing it for you. There's nobody that holds my hand and pampers me up to the writing room and gives me a pep talk every day. It's up to me, and it's a constant pursuit. And now I'm more in pursuit than I was as a 25-year-old guy that never had a hit and was broke.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah, you enjoy it more, you appreciate it, and the competition is fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a hustle. It's a grind, and it's supposed to be, and that's part of what makes you a man or a woman or whatever it is that you're, the best that you're trying to be.
Yeah.
And I just didn't, man, if I had gotten a hold of that earlier, I wound up in a great place, really fortunate, but I definitely, if I could have gotten a hold of that earlier, if I could go back to my younger self, I would give me that.
It's interesting. I talk to lots of successful guys, and I think, and I am very much, not that I'm some big success, but I always feel like I'm behind the eight ball, and I wish I had more intel when I was younger. And I think most guys I speak to, no matter where they're at, they always feel the same way. I wonder why that is.
By the way, I don't know if you've heard the Luke Bryan song. I believe most people are good. It says something about youth isn't wasted on the young.
Yeah.
I totally disagree. I think youth is wasted on the young in many ways.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of time it's just the age. And I still kind of live like a teenager. I wear Jordans to work, and I have long hair, and I don't even own a tie. And, I don't want to be stuffy old guy, but the young me didn't have any idea what the real purpose of it all was. The money and wealth are a byproduct of a bunch of good decisions and a lot of hard work and an end reward. It's not really.
No, it's not about that.
It's not about it. It's a byproduct of it, and I'll take it when it comes, but it's not really what it's about. And the young me just never would have, you just wanted to be that guy in the music video pulling up on a Harley in front of his mansion with 3 girls around him. And it's just not really what it's about.
Right. The flip side of that question, are there one or two particular things that you did which at the time might have been out of your comfort zone, but turn out to be really big breaks for you?
Totally. One thing is a mistake I made that has actually made me a lot of money. And it was not getting great on the guitar. Now there's some things I can do that just, somebody would call me a great guitar player, but not a real guitar player. I never became the great session guy. I'm kind of one dimensional. I know what the word go means. So there's a piece of it that I, can pride myself in being, but I never got great on the guitar. And if I had, I would have become a session player, and I never would have been as good as the guys that I work with all the time that do that.
Yeah. Because
I never put that super focus on being like the greatest guitar player, I became a songwriter. And that has been where I was supposed to be the whole time. It's funny, just telling you, I realized I started doing this when I was 12, not realizing that that's really what I wanted to do. But if I had gotten more specifically better on the guitar, I don't think I ever would have become a full-time songwriter, because I'd be playing for somebody.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was, when you said in the beginning, I started writing songs right away. I was like, that's really unusual You're the only guy, literally the first guy I've ever met that's done that. Because I mean, I've met other guys that write songs, but none that have evolved into the quality and the success of a songwriter you have. You know, so it has to. I mean, that was like, you know, you didn't know it at the time. That was obviously, you know, your destiny. I hate to sound so California-ish, but
but it was over 30 years ago. I mean, it's, you know, the idea that, I don't even know what was in my mind except that I thought you had to write your own songs to put a record in the store and get your song on the radio.
That's great, man. I'm glad that worked out. What's something that you've learned about yourself along this journey?
Oh Lord. I mean, I've learned, well, here's a great, I heard this, from a wise person one time, and this is a really good one. You're not what you think you are. You're not what they think you are, and you're definitely not what you think they think you are.
That's awesome.
And I have learned that about myself. It doesn't really matter. It's none of my business what somebody thinks of me, and what you're doing. And it's amazing what you can get accomplished when you don't care who gets the credit. That's another one you've probably heard, but there is something about co-writing and having team members and not having to be right all the time. That I've learned that I'm not right all the time, and it's okay. The earlier I could admit that in a conversation or a writing session or whatever, sometimes the better for everybody.
Okay, so another question, and this is a weird question, but what do you like most about yourself?
I don't know. I never really thought about that.
I know, it's a weird question, isn't it?
Strange question. Gosh, it's hard to say. I guess I'm so different than I used to be, so the answer would be different. I guess what I like about myself now, as opposed to before, would be like I can admit when I'm wrong. Don't need to be right all the time. I like to help people, but my initial, instincts would not be those things. So I don't really know. I guess what I would like about myself would be that I've been able to change a decent amount through my adult life.
Yeah, that's a very admirable quality, I think.
Well, early it wasn't pretty. There's, and I wasn't robbing banks or anything, hurting anyone specifically, but just the kind of real selfish, self-absorbed type of person. And hell, some of it's still in there. We all love ourselves.
Sure.
But there has been somewhat of a desire or ability to change some innate characteristics that I had, and I'm happy with those changes, and constantly working on them.
Well, yeah, but you made a comment. You said, it hasn't been easy. When is, it's changing is not easy, man, at all. No matter what you want to do, change for the positive, especially because it's tough, man. It really is, and it's an ongoing. I agree with you. It's an ongoing thing because I've tried to make changes, and I always want to be a better person. And you can't, you don't want to let shit slip back or whatever.
Yeah. Everything's a slippery slope. Everything.
Yeah.
Sodas are a slippery slope for me. It's like everything. The news is a slippery slope for me. Like I got to limit the amount of news I watch, or I'm going to get anxiety over it. So knowing that is just kind of, try to keep some serenity and prayer in my daily habits or whatever. Because otherwise, man, I can wind up crazy about anything.
I haven't watched a news broadcast. I'm not kidding you. In about 35 years.
Are you serious?
No. Yes, I am serious. I haven't. When 9/11 happened, I did not watch the news. I just had kind of like heard it peripheral.
Right.
I don't want any of that shit in my head. I mean, if I'm more ignorant for that, I'm okay with that. Like the cost of ignorance is worth it to me. That I'm not having all that negative shit in my head.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I respect that so much. Okay, because there's one thing I wanted to talk about because we briefly, you mentioned it when we got online together.
Yeah.
Social media is like a race to the bottom. You're not going to find me on social. I mean, there's a Facebook page that our booking agent does a little, just updates things. I'll send them a picture every now and then and put it on.
Mm-hmm.
We have no. I don't think the world needs to know what I'm doing today, and I don't really want to know what you're doing today.
Man, I want to see what you're eating for breakfast. Come on, man.
Yeah, and I honestly don't care what LeBron James or Donald Trump or Barack Obama are eating for breakfast either. I really don't care.
I hear you.
I just, I know some part of it is like a laziness on my end, and maybe it's getting old, and I don't want to be there, get off my lawn, crotchety guy. But social media is stupid. It's moronic, and everyone posts a like. I can't stand when somebody, a group text, and somebody posts a like to somebody else's text. So if my phone's got to beep again because you put a thumbs up on that person's text, I want to strangle people over that.
Yeah,
we're way too communicated. And I thought it was interesting that you brought up you couldn't find anything about us on social media, and I mean, you have to do it, I'm sure, because of what you're doing.
Yeah,
I just don't do it at all. I've never sent a tweet. I've never made a Facebook post. Never. I mean, I have an account so I can buy StubHub tickets, but
I made one personal post. I think in all, one like real personal post when I hit 25 years with my wife. I was really proud of that, and I just,
congratulations.
Thanks. I just wrote her a little note, and I was reluctant to do because I never because I know a lot of people that are, quote, madly in love on social media, and behind closed doors, maybe not so much. But
nothing's how it seems.
So I didn't want to come across like that. But I just thought, man, 25 years. I was really proud of that, and I felt really lucky that she's put up with my bullshit for 25 years, and that was the only thing I've ever if I ever post a meal up there, I want to fucking please be shot or something. Here's my fish tacos, because you've never seen fish tacos before.
Please don't post your meal up. That's
yeah.
So anyway, I just kind of went along with the so you haven't watched a newscast.
No,
35 so I haven't ever seen a social media post, and I think those are equally against the grain. Although I really respect that, man. It's hard for me to. I get addicted to it.
Yeah, I just have no interest. I don't want to hear anything. I'm, like even my wife, she sends me, like if she'll message me, she'll send me like positive stuff. Like she sent me something today about some priest or religious guy in Bangladesh who walks like 2 hours every day up into the mountains, into this some sort of a church in the mountain, and she just sent it out to the kids and said, hey, if this guy could do this, you guys could do it. Like you could do anything. So, or like stuff about puppies or kittens, that I don't mind. I can handle that. That's nice.
Politics,
it makes me feel good if I see like someone took in a kitten with no legs or something. I like that, but that's about the extent of my news.
It's commendable.
Yeah,
I'm sure. So let me ask you this, and this is totally off the subject. I'm sure you'll have to edit, but do you watch television when you're going to sleep at night?
No, I don't.
I know that you wouldn't, because that's where I watch the news, and then I think it affects my sleep.
Well, you know what? You know why I stopped watching it? I stopped watching it around the time I started studying self-development, and the things I read were basically, I started learning about how your subconscious mind is really the governor of your life, not your conscious mind. And I read from a number of sources that when the last thing in the day and the first thing in the morning is when your subconscious mind is most open. And I used to watch the news at night, like what you're talking about. And I'm like, well, fuck, the last thing I want to do is life is I'm just an idiot. And I'm not saying that. I mean, literally, I may just be an idiot because life is pretty tough at times. But I said, the last thing I need to do is give that subconscious mind of mine more shit to deal with than I already have. So I just made the decision to eliminate it. And it was easy. I literally have just never thought about it. So,
wow, it's amazing. That's really I'm impressed with that. I'm gonna work on the going to bed thing, and then in the car, see, because I did music all day, so I get really tired of music. So I just turn on talk radio.
yeah.
And some of it's really interesting. I love Dave Ramsey. I'm a big
Yep.
stay out of debt guy, and it's very life changing stuff. But most of it is political.
Man, why don't you listen to podcasts? You could pick.
I know I need to. It's crazy that I'm not. Right?
You could pick whatever. Like, they have podcasts on like Dave Ramsey. There's plenty of guys like Dave Ramsey. There's tons of good self development stuff. I'll tell you what. There's some good stuff about just like I don't know. I like hearing stuff how the brain works and psychology, man. So
Me too. Way into it.
Yeah, I can give you some of those, man, if you want. But that's what
Please do.
When I walk the dog, that's when I listen to that stuff. Because I like when I'm in the gym, I want to listen to it, but I need music. So when I'm taking the dog out, I listen to podcasts. But yeah, because I can't handle news and shit. But now my dog's on her last leg. I'm gonna have to get another dog just to keep listening to podcasts.
Right. Right.
Tell me something about yourself, Brad, that people would either be surprised to hear or might find a little odd.
I'm never, ever without a tube of chapstick in my pocket.
Wow, that is a little interesting.
I mean, literally, like in my pajama pocket, there's a tube of chapstick. I'm completely addicted. If I travel on the bus with a band, I put that chapstick between the mattress and the bunk outside so that I can – I don't know, I really hate having chapstick, but I can't be without chapstick.
That's a little weird, but it's not. It's pretty innocent,
It's innocent. It's just odd. I'm obsessive compulsive as hell about some things. But
did you see that guy in his rider? He needed a gross of chapstick.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh, I would never put it on a rider because I bring my own. There's literally like 4 extra tubes in my backpack at all times.
You could be like a diva. Where is the chapstick? I'm not going on.
I need my cherry chapstick.
That Warren guy was really weird about chapstick.
Really strange about his chapstick.
That's pretty innocent, man. That's easy.
I figured go with that. We've talked about the alcohol and drugs enough.
Yeah.
Let's go with some chapstick.
Let's go with something more subtle.
In case my mom's listening.
Yeah. Happiest moment or time in your life?
This is the happiest time in my life right now.
I knew you were going to say that, man. I'm happy.
It is. Yeah. Without a doubt. I have a great wife. We have a great relationship that obviously wasn't always. She was with me through the whole mayhem. I'd like to thank her for sticking with the drunk asshole that was formerly inhabiting my body. You know what I mean? So,
right, that's righteous, man.
I'm a really good husband now because but this is the best time in my life. Hands down, it's been a lot of fun. I'm in a very grateful place. What was the other question?
That was it. It was happiest time in your life. What was the happiest time?
The other part of that, I have to be honest. When my kids were born, I was just terrified. I wasn't like, oh, it was the happiest moment of my life. It wasn't. I loved it more than anything now, but I was just this terrified kid when my sons were born. And I've loved being their dad, and there's been some incredible moments, but it wasn't like this, the moment I saw them come out, everything changed. That would have been good for my wife, but no, I needed a few more years of debauchery, apparently. So, this is the best time.
I didn't have that when my kids were born either, and not because it's just me. I wasn't there I wasn't there at the time. We have a great relationship now, and I think I've been a pretty good dad, and I'm really grateful for that relationship. But I didn't know what the fuck to do. Seriously, it was like, oh my God, I got someone else to take care of now. Holy shit. But I mean, I'm just being honest, like you are. I'm just like, fuck. So I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Must be guitar player mentality. It's like, man, I can barely feed myself, and I'm really gonna put. I've met more friends of mine that are musicians, especially with guitar players, particularly, that just never had kids. And I just think that man, how can I possibly raise a kid when I am one? And you can, by the way, it's fine.
Yeah, of course.
I'm the strict dad. This is my house is not the cool house where the parents are going to let you drink and all that. So it's not, I don't act stuffy, but bottom line, I guess I really am.
How old are your kids?
They are 19, 17, and 13.
Oh, okay.
All boys.
19, 17, 13. So you're like probably on the 50-yard line still.
Oh, no, I'm closer to that. I mean, the 17-year-old, one's in college. He's away.
Okay.
And the 17-year-old's a senior in high school, so he'll graduate in May, and he's going to go off to college. And I have one kid left, a 13-year-old, and they're good. It's pretty. I feel like I'm further than the 50-yard line.
I'm on the 10-yard line.
It's calmer with somebody out of the house. With one kid leaving, it's like a team of people left my house, and it was really only one person.
Oh, you better hope you don't come back.
Oh, he's coming back. That Step Brothers movie is because people allow. I basically said, you'll never live here again. You can come stay for the summer and work, but you'll never live here again.
Yeah.
That's good for them too. How old are your kids?
27, 25, and
oh, wow.
18. Yeah, I'm on the 10-yard line, bro. I got my daughter's be 18 in like 3 weeks, and she's at graduating high school this year. And my guys are going. Oh yeah, my guys are out of the house. I got a granddaughter who's 3 and almost 4.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're on the 10-yard line. Yeah, that's why I'm like so grateful for that. All that time with my wife, because now, I mean, like I felt like we made it. I felt like we went through war.
Yes. Yes.
And like
I don't get into all, but the challenges beyond addiction and all that. I mean, after that, it's just some totally innocent. We had nothing to do with huge challenges that came along, and they either split marriages up or they make you tighter. And I was lucky enough to have one that they made tighter.
Yeah.
Things I wouldn't go on into on this, and I'm grateful for that, because you can see that those crazy times, things that aren't anybody in your family's fault that start to happen, and you either get close or you get gone, and I'm sure it could have gone either way, but we got really tight at those times, and that was good.
Yeah, real good, man. What's your biggest business or personal win?
Well, yeah, it's this, we sold a catalog about 7 years ago, and, that's, if you're not in publishing, it's like the sale of the publishing rights to like a catalog of songs that you had. And it was a nice chunk of money, and we have another one coming up here in the next year or so that happened again. But that was my biggest personal win, and it was kind of like, wow. I mean, this wasn't an advance from a record company or, checks from a tour that came in weekly. It was like the lump sum of, wow, man, you've done enough work that where somebody's actually going to pay you this much for that. And that was kind of a humbling realization.
Did you feel a good sense of accomplishment when you did that?
I did, but it's kind of, honestly, the next time I do it, which is coming up, I'll feel more of the accomplishment. It was a little odd the first time, and you wanted to, put your little pile of money you made in the yard and stand in front of it with a knife and a gun. And, you know what I mean? Just raised redneck Tampa, and it felt odd to have anything extra. And this getting older and a little bit more mature and able to handle things, this time we'll feel that sense of accomplishment. But before, it was kind of more of a paranoia year, and we kind of had to settle into it. My brother and I both were kind of a little freaked out, but that was probably, as far as the business win, that was like the win so far.
Awesome. That's great. Congratulations. I'm happy that you get to do it again. Keep writing. You'll get to do it a couple more times, right?
I was going to say, I hope to do it 3 or 4 more times.
Absolutely. Good for you. Do you have any hobbies or interests outside of music?
I got a Harley. I ride a little bit. I'm not a big hobby guy. I don't play golf, and we played basketball up until about 5 years ago, but then it started getting closer to 50, and it's not really so much that my body hurts as I hate younger guys beating me. I can't, and so a lot of sports with kids, and I go see games, and we travel a little bit and see sports
stuff with my kids. I ride a Harley. We shoot a little bit, clay pigeons and stuff like that. But I'm not really a big, huge hobby guy. I don't like I said, I don't play golf, and I don't hunt, deer hunt. Man, everybody here deer hunts.
Yeah.
And
So what do you do? What do you do in your free time? Not that you have a lot of free time, I'm assuming, but what do you do?
It's funny because that sounds really bad and boring. I would have thought the former me would have thought this was pathetic, but I read. I love to read, and I love to go places that I haven't been before, and I'm active in my recovery, so I do things with other people, and I love great movies and great books and great stories. I'm kind of into the literary aspect of the songwriting more than the musical aspect a little bit now. I love stories and experiencing them from this end, and I think it helps you create other stories. I mean, we go out of town. I'll go to Vegas and play blackjack and men pamper and take the steam and sauna and get massage and whatever. It's not like I don't have hobbies, but I'm not like the guy that's going to go hunting because I'm off this weekend.
Yeah, I get you. That sounds really relaxing, though, what you do. Traveling, movies, reading. I mean, like you were saying that, I was like, fuck, that's really relaxing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're like, well, I don't want to sound like a pussy, but I'm like, wow, that's really relaxing.
I don't want to sound like a pussy, but I am one. I mean,
no, but it sounds like very relaxed. No, but you know what I like is low stress.
Yeah, there's enough. I got enough stress going on. Right. I mean, I travel to the Bahamas and then I read. That is so lame.
No, but that's no stress, man. You know what? Like that's every decision I made, once I hit around 50, almost every decision I make is like literally the first thing is, okay, which of the paths is the least stress?
Totally.
I mean, even if it's not like, and in the past I used to be like the opposite, like I'm Craig Garber, I'm going to do the fucking toughest thing, which is like so stupid.
Right.
To be honest with you.
Let me quantify this relaxation of doing nothing. Like it'll sound name droppy, but Tim McGraw has an island in the Bahamas, and we travel to the island. Me and Brett and a few friends, and Tim will go out there. I mean, he goes with tons of different people, but we go spearfish for a week.
That's awesome.
You talk about diving 25 feet, free dive with no tanks or anything, and you're spearing grouper and lobster, and I mean, and it is jumping off cliffs.
It's awesome.
I broke my ankle in half at that island jumping waves with a jet ski. So I have done so much of that stupid, crazy, watch this, who can be the biggest idiot.
Yeah.
At this point in my life, there isn't. So we still go in December when we spearfished, and I wore myself out and almost drowned. We got chased by a shark and all this kind of stuff. But that's because I'm with that group of guys and we're doing it. If it's up to me, I'm going to like the beach and snorkeling and reading, whatever.
I totally hear you, man. I like to do completely low stress shit. Like I like to just smoke a cigar have a cup of coffee or an iced tea.
Love cigars and coffee. Yes. Yeah. I was going to say that actually, if I could re-answer the hobby question, I think it would be cigars and coffee.
Yeah. I love both of those things, man. It's like so relaxing.
Yeah.
Who's had the biggest influence on your life?
On my life?
Yeah.
My wife has had the biggest influence on my life, probably because I probably would have run it off the rails further without her. And
I love that.
To the point where you can't come back.
Yeah.
And my brother, because I work with my brother every day. So that's been those two have had a big impacts on my life. Kids and whatnot. But in my career, Tim McGraw has probably had because he really took us under his wing as songwriters. He loved our writing and believed in it. We've had many cuts from tons of different artists, but he was the first guy that took an interest in, man, you guys are great songwriters. You need to come, write for me. And we started a company together and it's been, and Faith Hill, to be honest, she was the first one. We toured with her and that's how we met Tim. But that couple has been really good to our career.
That's great.
I'm not sure what would have happened without them, but everybody needs a champion, and they were our champion.
Well, you don't need to think about what would happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, right? I mean,
That's a great point.
yeah, that's totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's true.
What's the most important lesson your business has taught you?
Save your money. No, I don't think that's true. The most important lesson my business has taught me is that it's not that different than every other business everybody's in. It's the people business. It's the show up on time business. It's the perform business. It's the get better as you get older instead of getting worse. It's the don't try to retire early business. It's the are you dependable business. It's the what do you do that's different from everybody else that makes you stand out business. So all these years I thought I was working really hard to not get up and wear a tie to work. And I don't get up and wear a tie to work, so that's nice. But it's pretty similar to every business. And I think that universal truths are universal truths, and they apply to the music business as well. And good people want to work with good people, and, shitty people lose.
Yeah.
And sometimes shitty people win.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. Most businesses, coming out of the business world, I have found most of the guys that are truly successful. And I've seen it, at least in the limited, even though we have a pretty meaningful conversation with everybody, it's a limited relationship, unfortunately, in some cases. But it's been pretty consistent. The most successful people are generally the nicer people.
Typically, yeah. And there are outliers everywhere, and there are people that aren't kind of friendly. And for the most part, I find most people are doing the best they can.
Yes.
With what they have, and I actually, instead of being angry at people that don't seem to have any peace and serenity and are honking at everybody in traffic, I kind of start to feel sorry for them and wish they maybe had the opportunities that I've had to have to get their shit together, which I have had to do that in order to function, and it's been the greatest gift. So, yeah, I tend to think that good people will find each other, and man, I'll tell you what, when we were partying, I could find the guy with drugs anywhere.
You know what?
I was like a German Shepherd walking into a bar. So, if that's true, then also when you're doing the right things, you're also going to find other good people.
It's funny you said that. I interviewed maybe Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke. He talked about getting sober. Somebody who talked about getting sober, and he said, I always go to meetings when I'm out of town. And I said, good for you. And he goes, well, why not? He goes, I always found the dope, man, when I was out of town. Now I can find the meetings. Just what you just said.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Last question, man. What is the biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of this was deliberate and how much was just a part of aging?
Gosh, I hope the biggest change in my personality is that I'm more patient. Sadly, my family may argue that point, but it definitely has improved. I think that I'm not searching for the same things as I was 10 years ago. And even I was sober 10 years ago, but now I'm getting the things that I was chasing then. But what I'm really after now is a different thing. Is a serenity, a peace, and I'm not really as much looking for the next thrill. And I get to have thrills. I have plenty. But it's not that I'm not seeking just personal pleasure, and therefore I'm getting more personal pleasure. Is that?
Yeah.
It
sounds very kung fu like.
It's a little Buddhist.
Yeah.
But it's the pleasures that we discussed earlier is kind of the byproducts of just trying a little bit more to do the right thing. Being of assistance a little bit. I mean, I love to work out. In fact, the hobbies thing, that's probably one of my. I love to work out, but man, I can't stand someone telling me what to do when I'm working out. I've got a total attitude problem with authority, and that's just one of those things I've kind of relaxed in a little bit. Now I can go with a trainer and let someone yell at me and tell me what to do, and not take it personally, and not let it ruin my day or my workout, and those kind of things that I just would never have done even 10 years ago.
Where do you think that comes from, the authority thing? Because I have that.
My dad was a military guy, and he was a real authoritarian. So maybe it came from me disliking his level of it. But
Yeah.
man, I wanted to be a skinny, long-haired guitar player with my baseball hat on backwards since I was 5. And now I'm almost 50, and I'm still enjoying getting to be that guy. So there's a little bit of 2 middle fingers to the man that's still in my personality, as much as I might try to kind of qualm him and make him grow up a little bit. So that idea with authority, I'm fine with my kids' teachers or coach, whatever, but if they send me some kind of seething email about what I need to do as a parent, and even if it's a group, this team of parents, you all need to do this, man, I want to, meet me in the parking lot of the school. I'm going to beat your ass right now. That's my reaction.
That's funny.
I just don't want anyone telling me what to do, which is insane because I really should be listening to other people.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm not that extreme. Like I would, like stuff like that, I just emotionally delete. I don't even react. I just don't pay attention to it.
I actually do now. I totally delete and move on. But there have been times when I've just been like, man, you haven't used to anyone telling you no. Check this out. I don't care. I don't care if you're the principal of the school.
Right.
Don't send a mass email telling every parent what to, it's not directed at me.
Yeah.
That's one thing about alcoholics. You think you're the piece of shit the world revolves around. And you gotta try to rid myself of that.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
It's just like a therapy session more than a podcast, isn't it?
It is, man. I'm getting as much therapy out of it as you are. I got to be honest with you. That's my disguise. I go in here as a podcast. I'm really seeking counsel.
By the way, I want you to know I'm never listening to this. I'll never listen. I don't even know what I've said the last time, but I'm not listening to it. I can assure you it's honest because I pre-planned nothing.
Yeah, no, it's totally honest, man. I don't think I've had. I don't know if other people are being honest, but I mean, most people I think are being pretty honest. The only thing that I don't think I've asked people, I've interviewed probably 200 people, and I've said, "How was your childhood?" And everybody's had a great childhood. That's not true. No,
my childhood sucks.
One person. I don't think I asked you that question actually. But
you didn't.
One person said that they, and that's I ask almost everybody, so I'm surprised I didn't ask you. But one person said they didn't have a good childhood. And I'm like, you know what? That's not fucking statistically possible even.
It's not. And I'll say this too. I had a bad childhood. We did not have a television growing up. No TV in our home, no radio. We were not allowed to listen to rock and roll music. We were not allowed to listen to anything that was non-Christian music. It was stifling. We had to eat health food. We wore crappy clothes. We drove crappy cars. My mom cut our hair with a bowl over it. I was embarrassed my whole childhood. I was bored my whole childhood. Now I'm grateful for it because now I know how to play the guitar. If I had an iPhone, I probably would have never learned how to play guitar and sat around writing songs when I was 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Never. And I've had this conversation with my wife. Honestly, I'm like, we need to give our kids the gift of boredom. And I had that. So my childhood wasn't that great, but my adulthood has been great.
Yeah, but you made something good of it, and not everybody gets to do that.
Yeah, but if I hadn't been bored, I'm not sure I ever would have been able to play music because I just would have been great at typing tweets on my iPhone. Nothing.
It's funny because my 2 older sons are like, man, I'm so grateful that I didn't grow up with that. Where my daughter, because she's 17, the older one's 27, they're 10 years apart, and then 8 years apart from her next brother. Right. She grew up with that, and they're like, man, I'm so glad we got to talk to people, that we knew how to talk to people, because she'll come over, and girls are much worse than boys, but there'll be 4 of them in a room, and they're all on their phone with other.
Totally. My son's still like a 13-year-old, especially
with other people, and I'm like, why did you socialize? Oh, to hang out. I'm like, okay, and then
because we're Instagramming with someone that's not here. I've heard that more than once.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Then you start sounding old, like, back in my day, we actually talked to each other, and then they don't want to hear that. That's like, anyway.
Yeah,
man,
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about. I know you've got a new group that you're working with, writing cuts for 'em. Everett?
Oh yeah. So this is band Everett that we're writing with. You were asking me what I'm excited about recently. I mean, there's a lot of acts that we write with that have already had some success. So like everyone either knows about them or doesn't. But this new band is getting ready to come out called Everett, and we've written several songs on their record and a lot with them. But they're just brilliant musicians, and it's a duo, and they're really interesting guys. And they're from Kentucky, and Brent, the singer, is just a great singer. And then Anthony is the guitar player and sings backup. But he's like, they're great musicians, and they do tracks. It's kind of Renaissance manish. The fact that it's been a minute since we worked extensively with an act that had like a great player. Musicians get shoved into this corner in Nashville a lot. And these guys are really cool because they're great musicians, and the guitar player's like spectacular. Blows me away every time I hear them play. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when their stuff is released and the world gets to see them and hear them.
When is the name of the record, or do you know when the album is going to be released?
No, it's coming soon. The album won't be for a while, but they have a single coming. I think like in May.
Is it Everett?
Yeah. Everette. Yeah.
Everette. And is it your single that you wrote? You and your brother?
No, the first single is not something we wrote, but we wrote several things on the record.
Awesome.
So hopefully our song will be like the second single.
Well, check out Brad and Brett Warren's material when Everett comes out. Everette. And anything else you want to promote, man?
No, we got a lot of. I think we're going to have a lot of songs on the next actual Tim McGraw record. That's not a duet record with he and Faith, but that he just started cutting at it. He's already cut quite a few things that we'll have on that record. But they're interspersed throughout the town. I don't want to.
When does that come out?
Gosh, that's a good question. I would say probably like in the fall.
Great.
Maybe even a little bit later. Yeah, it takes a minute.
Great. So check out Tim McGraw's record when it comes out in the fall, and look for Brad and Brett's singles on there, and send them money, and and enjoy their music, most importantly. Man, I really appreciate your time. I knew you'd be a good guy to talk to, and I really appreciate you sharing all the stuff about you and being so genuine and sincere.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm never listening to this because I was way too honest. So,
oh man. Well, listen, I will talk to you in a minute. But everybody, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Thanks so much to Brad Warren for spending all his time with us and for being so candid and sincere. I really appreciate it. Go to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get notified of future episodes along with some cool stuff for guitar players. And remember that happiness is a choice. So be nice, go play a guitar, and have some fun. Till next time, peace and love, and I am out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.